I really wish Pokemon Fan came out sooner because it came out at a very bad time. Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel and welcome to another Pokemon X, Y, and Z discussion. Today, this episode is going to be primarily just about Pokemon Fan and all the episode mentioned in Pokemon Fan up to the last December episode, which of course has a new title, and it is the one that we know that has Zygarde, I think, as the data broadcast. No, Drapion. It's the Drapion episode, of course, because Team Flare is going to be in that particular episode. But we're going to start off with my. I've made a list here of everything. So there is. And I'm going to show you images. Okay, so the first image we have here is all the upcoming episodes up till December 24th. And that's because December does not have Pokemon Fan, so we'll probably have to wait till January to figure out what's going on there, and hopefully we'll get some really cool goodies at that particular moment. Maybe even the revelation of AV evolving into Sylveon, potentially. But this is November's Pokemon Fan, so we're going to discuss it. So what we have here is we have this particular page, and you'll see it. We have Ash Greninja shown for the December 10th. This is like right to left, by the way, for the Japanese, but I'm doing it left to right because that's what I'm used to. So then right next to the Ash Greninja photo, we have Ash and Pikachu, and then there's a shot of the opening scene with all their Pokemon. And then below the Ash Greninja thing, we see Serena with Eevee, Braixen, and Pancham. To the right, we have Puny-chan, Pikachu, and Meowth, and that's the Dream episode. But I already talked about that, all that I could, in my review with Leo, so check that out if you want me to talk about the Dream episode coming up. So then, below Serena and Eevee, Braixen, and Pancham, we have Zygarde 10% form. That's the Drapion episode. When we talk about it, I will discuss the title of that particular episode. And then straight to the right of that is the Ninja Village, where we see some people. We see a woman, an old guy, and an older man. Well, not younger than the old man, but older than like Senpai and those characters. And then we see Clement, Bonnie in her ninja outfit, which is pretty cute. We have Serena. Then we see Frogadier, Ash, and Pikachu, and they're all looking at something. So that's when they're introduced. And then below that, we have, of course, Shiny Eviltal and Xerneas images. I don't know if that's. I don't think that's a shiny Zygarde. But then to the right, I don't know if we have this image yet. I haven't seen it, but it shows a little bit of Ash Greninja, and below that is Bonnie. Of the images that I have, I seem to I don't have that image nowhere, and I haven't seen it yet. So if that had some information, I apologize, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to talk about that particular page because it wasn't added apparently, and right now my internet isn't working, so I can't exactly check. That's why I made notes and stuff. So that's that particular episode. So what we have here is we have this mini summary and of the sixth episode and the mini. So what I did is I separated by episode, so I may come back to the mini pictures with mini summary image again. Well, you probably won't see it, but I'll come back to it and discuss a little bit more. But I separated it by their episodes, so in order. So after the Dream episode, of course, we have the Ninja Village and the Hero of Ash, or the Hero Greninja, Legend of Hero Greninja episode. And the mini summary with picture of all the upcoming episodes says, Ash and his friends have come to Senpai's Ninja Village, but suddenly a pack of masked ninjas attack. So that's all that there is, and that was the image of all the characters in that one particular image. So then we move on to So we go on to this particular picture, and we have the same scene again with all the characters, and then above it we see Senpai and his Greninja, and to the left we see what looks like Haxorus, Caravana, and Crawdon masks on ninjas, and then above that we have like Skarmory, we have B Sharp. Apparently, B Sharp, the one that Ash Greninja was battling, is part of the Ninja Village. It has nothing to do with Bryony, which is a little disappointing, but expected. So then we see this particular, I don't know if it's a female character, the leader of the ninja village, but might be a male character, but ninja, and then we see some old guy, I believe, and then we have people dressed up as ninjas, and then we have Weavile, and of course B Sharp. So that's that particular episode, and then below that we see what I believe is Ippei's Greninja, and is battling against Weavile. At least that's what it was said in the summary somewhere. I don't know if that's for the 7th episode, the next episode, or this episode, but we do know that if that is relating to... Oh, no, wait, that's the 10th episode. Okay. Alright. So, let's see. Okay, so what we have here is we have Ash and his friends are making their way towards Snowbell City when their old acquaintances, the Ninja Senpai and his Greninja, appear before them. Senpai asked Ash and others if they won't come to the festival being held in the Ninja Town. Blurbs. Senpai and his partner Greninja appear. What kind of festivals do they hold in the Ninja Town? An enemy ninja appear in town. They abduct the head of town, which is that old guy in that picture. I'm assuming the little short guy. He's like barely, well, perspective wise, I think he's like smaller than Kamont. But I can't really tell, the perspective's a little off in that. Otherwise, he looks taller than Ash and company. And that's kind of weird since he doesn't look that tall ordinarily compared to the female and the male next to him. So the next episode is for the 10th episode, so maybe that's when Ippei's Greninja battles against Weavile or whatever. So that's that, and then of course we go on to the next episode. Um. Okay. Okay, so then some of this text might relate to the bottom images that I mentioned with Greninja using some attack, and then another Greninja attacking some Pokemon that might be B Sharp, so maybe it's Ash's Greninja. But then, of course, next to that we see B Sharp and another Greninja, which might be Senpai's, and Frogadier, which is clearly Ash's, and we see Pikachu. We see someone who I think is Senpai, but I'm not sure. But Ash is there with Pikachu, and then below that we see Ash. So the text might be relating to that, but right now I'm going to skip to a different page, and that's going to be the one that has the synchro evolution stuff on it and or whatever, and a little bit more of the Ninja Village comes up, and we got a clearer picture, and still can't tell if that's a female, but we also see an Ariados in there. We see Ariados as well in that particular image, so we see a better shot of that particular image, and we see an actual picture of the Ninja Village, and then below that is Senpai and Greninja. Below that we see Greninja battling against B Sharp. So it looks like Senpai after all. We have a better picture here, and Ash is yelling out and stuff. Then to that left we see Frogadier evolving when it looks like it's protecting Pikachu. And then of course we see the synchro evolution scene that we've seen in a preview before. Glowing Greninja and glowing Ash, and then above that, we have the same shot of Crawdon, Caravana, and Haxorus masked ninjas, and then we see Greninja battling against a Weavile, which I believe is Ippei. So the text for all of that is: protect the Ninja Village, a massive Pokemon confrontation. Ash's friends Senpai's Ninja Village gets attacked by someone unknown. As the Pokemon get dragged into a huge battle, Ash's Frogadier starts to. Senpai's ninja village is attacked by a mysterious ninja army. Ash and his friends arrive in the ninja village with Senpai, but then a mysterious masked group shows up. A huge battle starts with the entire village getting involved. Ash and Senpai, so it is Senpai, have a showdown with a B-Sharp. A B-Sharp, one of the Pokemon belonging to the group that attacked the village, swoops down on Ash and the others. The ninja village is in trouble. The ninjas from the village use their Pokemon to stand their ground too, but their opponents are all really formidable fighters. Senpai works with his brothers Ippei and Nihei, but the village Ippei's Greninja has a huge battle against the enemy bosses Kagitamu's Weavile. Kagitamu suddenly attacked the ninja village. Just what is he after? So if Kagitamu is the leader of the ninja party, then he's male and he has this weird army outfit going on, Imperial army sort of outfit. So maybe it is a male after all. Um, So, like I said, Kagutamo suddenly attacked the ninja village. Just what is he after? Frogadier Frogadier gains new strength, and then finally, the more desperate the situation, the more Ash's power rises. New strength sprouts forth in his partner Frogadier, and then an intense light envelops the two. Ash Greninjas. Sorry. So then we have the Ash Greninjas surrounded by water picture, and we have some text here. And then it says, opening up a new road. Ash Greninja is born. Ash and Greninja have become one as if they're overlapping each other. As a Greninja none have ever seen before reveals itself. It's the miraculous power of a trainer and a Pokemon connected through a powerful bond. Ash, show them your power. A hero told of in Ninja Village. This is a picture of Greninja that reportedly was a hero that once saved the village from a crisis. Doesn't Ash Greninja resemble it? Sorry, there is an image of it, but I can't exactly get a clear shot, so it's going to be something that we'll probably have to see within like the preview after the Dream episode or even when it actually comes out, but it might be interesting. But yeah, I think I do see Greninja in it, but I don't see it looking like Ash Greninja. But it is resembling it, but of course it's not going to look exactly like Ash Greninja. And then we're going to get into the really interesting bit that people are up in arms about for the most part. But anyway, what is Ash Greninja capable of? Just what kind of powers does it have? Look forward to seeing it in action. You won't be able to see it outside the anime. Now, a lot of people are jumping to calling it like rushed or calling it crap or BS because it's some way to give Ash a cheap Mega Evolution substitute without actually giving the Mega Evolution and calling this an anime only bull crap tactic or whatever. But here's the thing. Let's actually reread what it actually says. What is Ash Greninja capable of? Just what kind of powers does it have? Look forward to seeing it in action. You won't be able to see it outside the anime. It's only referring to Ash Greninja in of itself. A lot of people are worried about this. A lot of calm-headed people are like, no, it's only referring to Ash Greninja. And this makes sense because what is Ash Greninja but the combination of Ash and his clothes and his characteristics combined with Greninja to become Ash Greninja, which is basically kind of like a substitute for Mega Evolution. Of course, we wouldn't see Ash Greninja in the games. Now, some people would say, of course, they could have created an event for it, and that's fine, but it really wouldn't make any sense because Ash Greninja, as far as we know, is not permanent. It's just a form that happens, and everything seems to point to this. And it's just a form change. And that's the key thing. We wouldn't have Ash Greninja as an event because they would have to create their own Pokemon. Now, I guess they did this with like Spiky Eared Pichu and stuff, where it couldn't evolve and it was its own separate character, kind of like Cosplay Pikachu are their own particular Pokemon in the data information. You know, they're like their own separate Pokemon, basically. In the data, at least, that's what I've been told within the information. Like, each Pokemon species has its own particular data information, and a lot of other Pokemon share that particular information, but special Pokemon characters like Cosplay Pikachu or Peach or Spiky Eared Pichu have their own separate game data information. So yes, they could have done that with Ash Greninja, but it's really obvious that they didn't want Ash Greninja to be like AZ's Floette or whatever, and that in order to get Ash Greninja, you would have had to have a Greninja that could evolve specifically into Ash Greninja, and I can understand why Game Freak wouldn't do that. If this type of concept exists within the games, they're going to only focus on the games and the protagonists in the games, and there may be too much data already for some Pokemon, like Greninja being similar to the protagonist that you play in the next iteration of Pokemon that Game Freak comes out that has, of course, Zygarde complete and all these things. So, of course, Ash Greninja would be anime only, but it's only referring to the design of Ash Greninja. It is not referring to the method that created Ash Greninja. That still has a high probability being within the games, but the games will have a different take on it, and that's what we will get to play with. We will probably have our substitute Mega Greninja within the games. May not be Mega Evolution exactly, but that's kind of the point here. Not to worry for the most part. Just because Ash Greninja won't be within the games doesn't mean we won't get something similar. And of course, it makes all the sense in the world why Ash Greninja would be anime only, because the concept revolving around it has to do with Ash, and Ash is basically an anime only character. Even if you were to argue that it's Red, the problem is Red isn't wearing Red. You don't have a game where Red is basically wearing oh, Callum's clothes or whatever, and who knows, in the next games we might get new characters like Hilda and Hilbert in Black 2 White 2. We don't know. There's no guarantee that we're going to get Serena and Callum for the Pokemon Z, because we have no information on Pokemon Z yet. Hopefully next Core we will, and maybe that's when we'll get a base design for this new Greninja form where they'll talk about how you can get it in the games, just not Ash Greninja specifically. So yes, Ash Greninja is indeed anime only, but that doesn't mean that the concept behind Ash Greninja is anime only. So I think that covers that. So anyway, back to that previous picture with Serena and Eevee and Pancham. The title for that is Dance Eevee. It's Tri-Pokemon Debut. It's Pokemon Debut. Serena aims for getting her third Princess Key. This time Eevee finally makes its stage debut. I'll go back and talk about the Greninja stuff later on and stuff, but I just want to get through all these all this information. So this one, I think Serena's going to lose simply because Eevee hasn't shown that it's completely gotten over its fear and shyness around strangers and strange Pokemon and stuff. So I feel like Eevee is going to do very well dancing in its Pokemon debut, its Pokemon Showcase debut, and the audience is going to be mesmerized. But then something's going to mess it up, and then Serena's probably going to lose the Pokemon Showcase. If Serena gets her third Princess Key, then I guess we don't have to worry about it. We can worry about Master Class afterwards if that ends up the case. So then we get into the next episode, which is the 9th episode. That's the Drapion episode, the last episode of this particular year, because the 31st is going to be a New Year's break that they have every year. And it's Terminus Cave, the mystery of Z is set in motion. So they're finally reached Terminus Cave, which means Wolfric will probably be sometime in January, potentially early February. And I have speculation on that after a moment here, after I get everything going. So in that picture, we saw Zygarde 10% form. And then it says here, basic summary, Ash and friends come to Terminus Cave in order to restore Squishy's power. However, Team Flare is there. So, yeah. So then we have another picture here. It's got Ash Greninja, Ash and Greninja, not necessarily. Okay, so yeah, Ash Greninja and Greninja in there, and then of course we see Puny-chan. So then the summary for that is a thorough rundown of 2 secrets to the new anime series. Zygarde appears, and what's with Ash's Greninja? We'll give you 2 anime secrets to give your hype A superstar dash. Secret 1. A close look at the mystery behind Squishy and Zygarde. The legendary Pokemon Zygarde and Squishy. We'll examine what kind of connection they have. Secret 2. Ash Greninja finally appears. A new Pokemon! Just what is this Ash Greninja that suddenly appeared? So then of course we have this blue Puny-chan photo with the hexagon blue Puny-chan on it. That's the only new shot we have, but then we see Zygarde complete. We also have Zygarde cells, Zygarde core red, Bonnie holding it, Zygarde 10% form, and Zygarde 50% form with, of course, Mabel, and that was all. All of this was pretty much in the first episode, except, of course, the blue Puny-chan. So this is all the information it has to say about that. The greatest mystery of the new series. Just what is Squishy? Squishy is a mysterious life form being cared for by Bonnie. The truth is that it holds the key to the upcoming storyline and is a being you should pay close attention to. It's small but crazy strong. It's the legendary Pokemon Zygarde's core. Squishy's actual name is Zygarde Core. It's a life form acting as the center of the legendary Pokemon Zygarde. So is it actually a Pokemon, or it recovers its stamina by basking in the light of the sun? So that's mentioned to its sunbathing that we saw in those 2 or 3 episodes that, no, 2 episodes. It was the Quilladin episode and the first episode of X, Y, and Z. Zygarde can change into 3 forms. By having Squishy gather Zygarde cells, Zygarde can change its appearance through 3 stages. Just what kind of Pokemon is the perfect form? Which name indicates perfection? Lots of Zygarde cell are present around in nature. The mystery deepens. There are 2 Squishies, or 2 Puny-chans. The shocking truth, there's not just one Zygarde core. Is it Squishy's friend, sibling? Its identity remains a mystery. Another Zygarde core referred to as Z2 by Team Flare. Its chest has a different color from the Squishy Bonnie is taking care of. What's the deal with Team Flare? Who targets Squishy? When Eureka first met Squishy... Ugh, I'm just going to call it Puny-chan because that's kind of annoying. It was covered with wounds. It had escaped from the clutches of Team Flare. Team Flare sees Puny-chan as being the core of Zygarde. What do they intend to do with it? Team Flare surrounds Zygarde 50%, which lies hidden in a cave. They're nothing like Team Rocket at all. A group of tough opponents have assembled. So Team Rocket aren't that powerful. They're much more powerful, so it's referencing Team Flare as being very powerful and strong in comparison to Team Rocket, at least with Jesse, James, and Meowth and stuff. So Zygarde 10% changing forms. Puny-chan's amazing transformation. Zygarde 10% form. Puny-chan was in huge trouble having been surrounded by Team Flare, releasing a dazzling light. It changed into Zygarde 10% form. Zygarde is a legendary Pokemon even at a mere 10%. It hides tremendous power. It gathers lots of Zygarde cell. Lots of Zygarde cell gather around inside Squishy, turning into Zygarde 10% form. It has this amazing power even at 10%. Land's Wrath bursts forth with a powerful shockwave that even breaks the ground apart. It drives off all the opponents at once. So that's pretty much all of... yeah, when I was talking about Zygarde 10% form, there's this particular picture with Puny-chan becoming Zygarde 10% form in a really cool images, and of course using Land's Wrath. I forgot that that was separate. When I said Zygarde 10% changing form, I I forgot that was a separate image. So yeah, that's pretty much all Pokemon Fan had to say and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much. So I'm gonna go back to talking about Frogadier and Greninja and those particular episodes, and then I'm gonna talk about what could possibly happen after the Terminus episode. So basically what we have here is we have the 6th episode where Ash comes back to the, or doesn't come back, he comes to the Ninja Village the first time. He runs back into Sanpai or whatever, that's probably what I meant to say. And of course, they go to the ninja village. They have this festival, but then, of course, this ninja village attacks, and then everyone gets into a war, and everyone gets involved or whatever. So I think it's going to be a pretty much basic setup episode, maybe even revealing information about the hero Greninja that's related to Ash Greninja. So then we get into the next episode. That's when the war between the ninja villages are going head forth, or going headstrong or whatever, and that's when Ash and Sunfire are battling against a B-Sharp. That's when Frogadier will evolve to save Pikachu, and that's when we'll get Greninja. And then afterwards, Ash and Greninja will continue to keep going, and that's when we'll get Ash Greninja in the 10th episode. And that's what we'll get. And this relates to that merchandise schedule thing that had certain merchandises. And I bring this up because it mentioned that Ash Greninja was going to show up in December. And it actually is confirmed that it is going to appear in the 10th episode, because we have a screenshot along with all the other episodes with Ash Greninja and Ash there. And it's mentioned for the 10th episode. The fact that B Sharp is also in this particular episode means that trailer that we got was not Bryony's B Sharp, but this particular village trainer's B Sharp, and that's where we get Ash Greninja battling against B Sharp. So of course that means Ash Greninja is confirmed to appear. Now a lot of people will be like, this is rushed, this is horrible, this is crap, and everything. But as I speculated before, I feel like this Greninja form, Ash Greninja, is a form that needs to be perfected. So we'll get some troubles and struggles later on where Ash's Greninja and Ash can't quite control this form, and then eventually it'll be perfected. I never believed for a moment that, well, I mean, it was brought up, but I never believed that Ash Greninja was something that happened after a period of time. I wasn't expecting Greninja to show up a lot because, well, the timeline basically said as much, but I wasn't expecting Greninja to go out and battle and then work hard and then have obstacles because it lost to Sawyer or Alon's Pokemon. And then, of course, Greninja would run away, and then Ash would come to it, and then they would have a battle against a B-Sharp, probably Bryony's B-Sharp in this hypothetical scenario, and then it would become Ash Greninja. I never expected something like that because it didn't make any sense based on what happened with Corinna and her Lucario when it was trying to Mega Evolve. The Pokemon itself could Mega Evolve, but they weren't in sync properly, and that's why Lucario had troubles as it did. So it was something like that was I was expecting. Granted, I know in some instances there are some Mega Evolutions that work perfectly for the first time, and I think I've mentioned this before, at least in the forums at least, that yes, there are examples of perfection in regards to these situations, but I still believe Ash Greninja is a form that needs to be perfected rather than a reward for coming together and having a great bond. So I feel like so that they're just giving us a sneak peek right now of what Greninja is capable of, but Ash and Greninja still have to work together to make that form perfect. So that's what I expect out of that, and I really don't know how this episode is really going to end if the next episode is going to be about the showcase, which is kind of weird but expected. So maybe most of this happens in the end or whatever, and then they just finish off at the tail end of the episode where they say goodbye. Greninja's there and everyone's talking about Ash Greninja, and Ash is a honorary ninja because he protected the village and he had Ash Greninja and he was special and stuff, and then everyone walks away saying goodbye and to be continued. And maybe that's how they get into the Pokemon Showcase. So if I believe that's the case, then I think Serena's Pokemon Showcase, which didn't exactly say where it's being held, I think that's Kuriway Town, I believe. I think we'll get to Curryway Town. They'll get to Curryway Town. That's when the showcase is, and then we'll deal with Eevee and stuff or whatever. And then, of course, afterwards, we'll get the Terminus episode with Zygarde, and we'll learn more about Puny-chan. And unlike what I thought for the Dream episode, this is probably the last episode of the year, is probably going to be where they learn about Puny-chan's ability to transform into other forms and stuff. So then, what I feel like is going to happen in the following months, between January, February, March, I feel like I'll show you the schedule image, but I won't talk about Ash Greninja because that's already taken care of. But you'll notice that there's a Sylveon for February and Zygarde Complete for March. So what I expect is in January and maybe early February, I expect there to be some episodes about Alon, some more episodes about Team Flare. I also expect Noibat to evolve during that time because all the merchandise so far points to Noibat evolving before Eevee, although I'm not going to be surprised if that actually is not the case. But I expect Noivern to happen then, and some people are like, well, why isn't Noivern listed if it's actually there? If you look at the image that I'm showing you right now and you look at the bottom, there is merchandise there, and they're like keychains or something, and they have the 5 Pokemon that are listed above with Zygarde 50% form, Puny-chan, Pikachu, and Dedenne, I believe. And then, of course, Ash Greninja, Sylveon, and Zygarde Complete. The 5 Pokemon that have months listed next to them, they correspond to the keychain below. And if you notice, there isn't a Noivern keychain down there, which means they may have not wanted to have merchandise in the keychain form with Noivern, so that's probably why it wasn't listed, because the keychains are relating to the episodes that are appearing. So that's why I think there's a disconnect from December to February, which is when Sylveon is set to appear. Now, there is a strong possibility that even though Serena's Eevee is going to evolve, maybe it doesn't mean that it's going to evolve in February and some other Sylveon appears. That's always a possibility, but I think before then, we're going to get some episodes of maybe Alon, maybe we'll get like Alon, maybe we'll get Mega Sceptile, maybe we'll get Noibat evolving into Noivern, potentially before Eevee evolves, and then in February, probably sometime in February, we'll get Eevee evolving into Sylveon. Maybe Eevee will actually learn a fairy type move in the Pokemon Showcase or something, maybe Baby Doll Eyes or Charm, or maybe it already has it, but it hasn't been used yet. So I guess we'll have to see when the Pokemon Showcase comes out. So then afterwards, I expect there to be a gym battle between Ash and Wolfric at some point. Potentially, that's where Noivern will actually appear as well. Who knows? Maybe Noibat will evolve after Eevee. It's always possible, but I expect Noivern to be used against Wolfric rather than Noibat. So, unfortunately, based on what I'm speculating, doesn't look like Noibat's going to receive a lot of Foicus. Yeah, Foicus, yeah, not a lot of Foicus there. Not a lot of focus for Noibat there. That's what happens when you mix Noibat and Focus, you get Foicus. That's funny, though, Foicus. So I don't expect a lot of focus for Noibat. Maybe if we get a Sawyer Alon episode in January, maybe we'll get some kind of focus episode for Noibat. But I honestly expect mostly just an evolution for Noibat. So between February and March, I think is when Wolfric is going to come out. We're going to have the Wolfric gym battle. It's probably not going to be as amazing as Olympia potentially, but it'll probably be an interesting and fun gym battle that'll be interesting or whatever. And then after that, we'll probably get into the very heavy Team Flare episodes. We'll get Zygarde Complete in March, as it says. We'll actually probably get a potential sneak peek of that. And then, of course, sometime in April and May will probably be the finale of the Team Flare arc and stuff or whatever. So that's what I expect in the upcoming episodes after the Terminus episode at the end of the year. Of course, we're going to have to wait until January before we get Pokemon Fan, and by the time Pokemon Fan comes out, potentially, we're probably going to get a couple of episodes already done through. Yes, I expect us to go through the first episode in January and the second episode, 7th and 14th, before we get Pokemon Fan by next Thursday, which actually might actually appear around the same time. So we'll get 3 episodes, and by then we probably would already have access to whatever is going on during that time, and the Pokemon Fan will probably just focus on the last January episode and the entire month of February all the way to the 25th, and that's when we'll probably get some Sylveon focus episodes. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Pokemon Fan. If I missed anything, I apologize. I noticed that there seems to be some images missing in Pokemon Fan. There is a shot of Greninja near Bonnie that seems to be absent. At least, let me look real quick. Let me look at that one particular shot that had Bonnie in it. Yeah, there is one shot that's obviously missing and has a huge image of Ash Greninja, and below that is Bonnie. I don't know where that image is. It hasn't come out yet or whatever, so I apologize if I missed any particular summaries that were mentioned or anything. I wrote this all down last night before I went to bed. Well, actually, I think I went to sleep a little bit and then I woke up and then wrote this down so I can get ready to record a video. So I definitely could have missed some images, and for that I do apologize, but I haven't seen anything new. I didn't see anything new when I looked at the forums, so I think this covers it for Pokemon Fan for November. There's a lot of fun focus episodes coming up. We have the Dream episode with Puny-chan, Pikachu, and Meowth. We have the Ninja Village Part 1, Ninja Village Part 2 with Greninja and Ash Greninja Hive. Then we have Serena Showcase if you're interested in that. So for Serena fans, hype that Serena's getting a Pokemon Showcase, whether she wins or loses or not. And then right after that, we're getting into some more Team Flare stuff with Zygarde 10% form and all sorts of stuff. And of course, we have that blue Puny-chan coming up. Wolfric's coming up. Sylveon's coming up. Zygarde Complete is coming up. So, yep, I am all looking forward to all of this. So that's all I have to say about this. So anyway, I don't think there's anything I have to say. And again, I apologize if I missed anything. Hopefully I discussed everything that there is outside of that one image that is clearly not there. Although they may be talking about the music. There was another thread opened around this time that had Pokemon Fan in it, and apparently it had music information on it. So maybe the Ash Greninja that we see is in that image, because below that I think the Bonnie shot might be for the ending, but I'm not really entirely sure. But again, I apologize. I don't know if I'll be able to pop up images or text of things I missed, because just want to hurry up and edit this so I can have it, because it's going to be a while before it's done rendering, and I have to render 2 videos before I can upload them. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.